met up with Lou during one of the sessions in District 86, and it was how to prepare a speech in 15 minutes. And Lou provided us with a worksheet to work from, and then he step by step guided us through. It blew me away because it was something that I had never considered. But every speech has elements to it that you break down into bite-sized chunks. And what he did was reverse the order of them, and so that you're not thinking about something for too long. And I'll let Luke explain how that really works, but that's what my takeaway was. I was completely impressed with it, and I was able to write a speech in 15 minutes along Luke's guidance to the class that he was holding. So, and ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Lou Mulligan for joining us today. Lou has something to teach us, and we'll all take something away from it for sure.
Well, Lou, you just heard a lot of words of praise from Rick there. What's some of the feedback that you might have received when people have taken one of your workshops?
Well, let me go back to the workshop that Rick attended. And that was my challenge. Was I had half an hour to present. And in that half hour, I had to leave 5 minutes at the end for the host to come back on the screen. So really I had 25 minutes. And normally it takes about 30 minutes to talk members through while they're writing their speech in 15 minutes. So this is where Rick met me. And it was kind of a challenge for everybody because there's never 25 minutes in 25 minutes. So we just ended up squeezing things a little bit more, but it's a presentation that I've been doing now since 2019. I've done it over 60 times. And what I find is that people that attend say, I'm never going to write a speech the way I wrote it before after doing this. Because what they do is they learn how to organize their thinking to put together a speech very, very quickly. I equate it to if you're watching a James Bond movie where they're jumping all over the world. One day they're in London, the next day they're in Mexico, next day New York, next day Paris. And if you're the producer of this movie, you'd go broke if you did it according to the way the book's laid out, because they keep bouncing all over. So the producer does is they say, okay, let's do all our Mexico shots at the same time. Let's do all our Paris shots at the same time. And that's basically what we're looking at doing when we're writing a speech. Take the way that you're thinking when you're putting your basic strategy together and take all that part and do it all at once. And that usually involves your introduction and your conclusion. So if you work on your introduction and your conclusion before you get around to writing the body, then it becomes much different. If you think about the hamburger example, you can't make a hamburger without a bun. But if you put the bun after the hamburger, say, okay, now where do I find a bun? Then it's never going to work.
All right, Lou, I promise to give you all the time that you need to so that the people that attend your session can walk away with the best that you can deliver. Just give me a bit of background. Why is it you do this? You said you've done 60 sessions. Why? What do you do it for?
Well, I did this initially because I had a role in Toastmasters where I was responsible for helping struggling clubs with 8 or less members. And when I was doing this, what I found was talking to the club presidents and their executives. One of the biggest problems they had was people backing out of speeches, and it just destroyed the agenda. So as part of what in that role, one of the things I did was I talked to a guy named Mark Hayes from Port Credit Toastmasters, who has a program that he had found out about putting together a speech in 15 minutes. I asked Mark to come and talk to a club, and I fell in love with what he did, because in the course of an hour, we had people starting off with no idea what they wanted to talk about, learning how to put a thought in place, how to write a speech, and we even had 3 or 4 people deliver their speeches all in that 1 hour time period.
Well, I think we'd like to follow that model.
Yeah, and it's a great model to follow. I did a lot more research on it, And I spent a lot of time working on the, I guess you could call it the worksheet that members use when they're putting their speech together, because I wanted it to be that the worksheet, when you end up with it, is just the way you're going to read the speech. And that's what Rick experienced, was at the end of the half hour, he had a document in front of him that was a speech that he could turn around and read. He could turn around and buff it up to make it better. And for me personally, I get a real high out of doing this, because I am hearing some of the most wonderful speeches, and the people giving them never had an idea they're going to give a speech half an hour earlier. And many of those people never wanted to give a speech half an hour earlier, but they get motivated by the adrenaline starts going. And when they hear the person beside them give a speech, they're saying, well, if he can do it, so can I.
It's a beautiful thing.
And
Any words of advice for people who are thinking about joining this session?
Oh, yeah. Don't come with any preconceived ideas. Don't come with a speech already written. Just come, relax, and I guess you could say, let the force be with you.
It's beautiful. Are there any final things that you think should be included?
It's a wonderful experience. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you've got a lot of people that are going to show up.
Beautiful. Thanks so much. Rick, anything you want to say?
Excellent. Well, no, hey, listen, thanks so much for taking the time with us, Lou. We really look forward to it.